Hey guys, there I go with my technology issues again. I'm telling you what. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's Saturday. It is. Gosh, it's like the end of the week already. I can't even hardly believe that my celebration week is almost over. It was interesting though, because I celebrate all the time anyway. What's going on, Terry? How are you? So I celebrate all the time, so it's really no big deal. Cabrillo, hey, what's going on, sis? Um, So tonight we're going to talk about vulnerabilities and what's going on, Sean. So many people steer clear of being open and being honest about their level of vulnerability. And then you wonder why sometimes we get the results that we get and they're less than what we had desired for them to be because we weren't upfront with them to begin with. And so people don't really know how to enter into relation with us. And so that's going to be the conversation tonight. So I see you guys coming in. Thank you so much. As you come in, feel free to share the video out. I think I posted it today in a way that you should be able to share while I'm on. So that's a good thing. I'm learning. It only took me 180 some 180 some lives. I don't know. I lost count. We're on 119 for this year, but it was another 60 or so last year. So anyway, 200 videos later, I finally figured it out. That's how it is. Okay, I'm good with that. Better late than never. So share the video out. For those of you who maybe are just coming in for the very first time, you don't really know who I am, let me welcome you in. Welcome to Life on Mars. My name is Marcy Batiste. I'm a public speaker, I'm an author, and I'm America's #1 reality-based success and recovery trainer. And besides living life on Mars, I am 100% always sold out to my happiness. And so most of you that know me know that that means that is my guiding light. That is a principle that I use to make a great deal of my decisions. Like, how does this impact my level of happiness, whether it's personal relationships, professional relationships, career moves, business moves, whatever the case may be. So, but the thing maybe some of you don't know is that one of the things that, hey Donovan, what's going on, Jonathan? One of the things that really truly moves me is to be able to help other women shine, to help them discover and embrace their star power so that they can actually learn to reconnect all of the disconnects that have left them feeling emotionally bankrupt, mentally drained, spiritually unaligned, and physically obligated. Like, you feel obligated to pretend like everything's okay so that they feel better, but in the meantime you're falling apart. And so being able to use the star power pillars to discover and embrace that star power, really truly put those pillars into action in your life. Hey Donovan, what's going on, Marvin? Being able to put those into your life as a woman becomes a game changer, because finally you're not putting everybody before you. Like, you're not last on your own to-do list anymore. And so that's why for me, being able to be sold out to my happiness has allowed me the time and the freedom that I've been able to reclaim those things so that I can really be able to go back. And I did a video about that earlier this week about how survival is a responsibility and how I feel obligated to go back and pull another sister up, and not just from a domestic violence standpoint, but from a success standpoint. And so that's when we talk about the reality-based success and recovery. The recovery is healing from all those past pains, fears, flaws, and failures, and being able to move forward with the lessons and not getting stuck in the past and being stuck with what somebody else told you that you are. So to that point, tonight's message is all the messages are always going to be in alignment with those principles and those concepts, but tonight in particular, about being honest about your vulnerability. We're doing 30 books in 30 weeks, which is our personal development series, where I'm rating my personal development library, and I'm sharing tips, tools, hacks, aha moments. I'm sharing some reflections from the bathroom mirror that helped me to be able to do my own success and recovery training. And then now be able to share those principles out. But this week we're doing Healing by Design. We have one more day left on this book. It's a book that I wrote. It's a companion thought guide to my book, Love Miscarriage. And I'm talking about vulnerabilities because as I was thinking about the book Love Miscarriage, and I was thinking about the lead characters, Jenna and Tony Leo. And you guys haven't read the book. Tony is a musician, and they met while Jenna was on vacation. She went to see one of his shows. He grabs her kind of attention in the middle of a show, actually stops singing to talk to her, and her life was never the same after that. They meet, they talk, this whirlwind kind of like, oh my gosh, just overcome by feelings, that whole romantic thing that Disney teaches us kind of takes place. And then Tony walks out of her life without ever saying goodbye. And so she goes through these series of emotions following his departure. Like, she has to fly back home. She has no answers. She doesn't know what happened to him. Is he alive? Is he dead? What? Nobody knows what's going on. And then she realizes, okay, well, he's on social media now, so I know that he's fine. He's just ignoring me. And so this is her journal of what that experience felt like. And she really, really pours out, I should say, the innermost depths of her thoughts and her feelings and just a raw, pure emotion. And we talk about what that love miscarriage looks like and how that manifests in her life. And so she goes on to, try and, hey Gillette, she goes on to try and get over Tony, right? But every time she tries to get over Tony, she'll see a post or she'll see, a flyer for a performance in Chicago, or she's back in the city for vacation again. And so there's all these constant reminders that keep bringing him up. And she's so vulnerable to him. So even though she knows this is probably not a good scenario for me to put myself, it's not a good position to put myself in, she continues to be open and receptive anytime he reaches out to her. And she just can't seem to shake it no matter what. Yeah, so she ends up pursuing a relationship with not even pursuing, like falling into a relationship. So when we talked about last week, we were talking about love, or week before last, talking about love miscarriage, how you can't fall in love, you have to decide to pursue love, right? And so she ends up falling into this relationship with a guy who had just been a homie of hers. They had been really good friends for many years, and they end up getting sexually involved. And she wasn't honest about the fact that Dave was just a space filler. He was just a time killer. What do they call it? A gap stop. I think that's what they call it before the guy's getting to go to jail or whatever. He was a gap stop for her, and she wasn't honest about that. And so that becomes, hey Donna, that becomes a source of contention in their relationship, because she doesn't really want to be with Dave. She's never wanted to be with Dave. Dave was in the friend zone, the homie zone. Like, it wasn't nothing. It wasn't that type of party. But because she wasn't honest about where she was and her levels of vulnerability emotionally and her susceptibility, that need to that she wasn't getting fulfilled from Tony, she was very vulnerable for somebody else to be able to step in, and someone who was willing to fill that role, even though it wasn't the person that she wanted to have it filled from. And so they end up basically losing a friendship because she wasn't honest about that level of vulnerability. And so she ends up trapped kind of in this semi-relationship with this guy that she's not really in love with. Like, you feeling a spot. You're feeling a void, but you're not at all what I want. You're not at all what I'm looking for, and most certainly you're not Tony Leo, which is who Jenna really wants us to be with. And then on the flip side, Tony ain't worried about Jenna. And so she's got her mind wrapped up in this guy who ain't even trying to worry about her. He's on doing his own thing, building his own life, focusing on his singing career. He ain't thinking about her no more. But every so often, something will come up and she's taken right back. And so so she goes through that with Dave. She finally decides, you know what, before I have another love miscarriage, I'm gonna have a love abortion. And so she decides she's gonna end that relationship, and the intimacy part of it. And what then ensues is then she also ends up jeopardizing the friendship because she had never been honest to begin with. And so there was a lot of the lies and deceits that she didn't want to feel from somebody else. She then ended up impacting and imparting onto someone else because she wasn't honest about her vulnerable space. And that happens so many times when, like I said, so many women, and I know this was true for me, we do get to that point where we feel undervalued and underappreciated. So all it takes is one little something from the right or wrong person that it feels that it hits that spot that says, okay, well, this is what I've been missing. So even though this isn't really what I want, I'm going to try it out and see what happens from here. And it's invariably going to be an epic fail. For one, you're going into it in an emotionally compromised state. So when we talk about that emotional bankruptcy, when you are emotionally taxed, when your vulnerability is that level is so low that anything and anyone can compromise what you truly want, because there's just so much open room for them to come in. And so that emotional bankruptcy, that feeling like the physical exhaustion, being spiritually unaligned, like I said, like that's what discovering, embracing your star power is all about. Being able to reclaim ownership over all of that. You get to get your emotional stability back. You get to get your spiritual alignment back. You get to get and recover your time. You get to recover your life. You get to recover that mental space where you just like are from here to there to everywhere. And like with Jenna, she's trying to get up. Hey, Joy, Jenna's trying to get up and freaking go to work the next day after she just had what she thought was the greatest relationship of her life. The man walked out on her, don't even say goodbye. You get on a plane the next day, you're supposed to go to work. Where do they do that at? And so she's walking around in this state of compromised emotional vulnerability, and to the point where, like I said, like you go out into the world and you smile because that's what people expect you to do. When people ask you, hey girl, how's your day? They don't really care. 9 out of 10 times they do not really care, unless it is one of your true good girlfriends, one of your ace boon homeboys. And even sometimes they don't really care. But you have to be honest about that. You can't mislead yourself, and you can't get mad about it because it's human nature. It's natural. But we go out into the world thinking that really somebody gives a damn about how we really are. And we're afraid that if I told you, oh my God, my life is a freaking train wreck, that you're not going to be my friend anymore. Well, guess what? Some of them people not your friends anyway. They're spectators on your life. They're waiting to see you fail anyway. But see, that's that reality that a lot of people won't talk to you about. That's what reality-based living is about. It's about really getting to be honest with yourself about the roles, the rules, and the responsibilities of the people that you allow into your inner circle. And, it's kind of like It's kind of like a bullseye. So you got your little circle in the middle. That's your bullseye. That's your good girlfriends, your super homeboys. That's those writers, the people that been there. I got one good girlfriend. We've been friends for over 40 years. So we was 5 years old. I'm 49. Friendships like that don't just happen, right? And not even to suggest that time is everything, because time is not everything. Hearts and people will show up for you every single day. I always say you know who your good friends are when they show up when you're moving. And that to me is it's funny, but that's how you know. And so you'll have these one-off situations. You'll find these unicorns sometimes who just come into your life and they just get you and you just get them. And it just clicks. And you don't have to worry about that compromise, right? And then you have outside of that intimate circle. Hey Ron, outside of that intimate circle with your good girlfriends and your good homeboys, you have kind of everybody else. And you need to keep everybody else where they're at until they've proven, based on behavior, that they deserve to be moved into the inner circle. But what happens sometimes when we operate from a space of extra vulnerability, we bring people in to that intimate circle, and they should have stayed on the outer rim. And I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, sometimes y'all gotta square off your circle. Like you gotta, you don't fit anymore, and be okay with that. Like not everybody's supposed to go where you're going. You have to be okay with it, but you have to know where you're going, and you have to be willing to be honest with yourself about your level of vulnerability, because your level of vulnerability is gonna be what drives who you allow in that innermost circle. And that circle needs to be so tight, so restricted, so limited, so exclusive that it takes damn near presidential FBI clearance to get in it. But we don't treat it like that. We all willy-nilly with it. Like, oh, tell me something I want to hear. And you come on into my inner circle. Come on into my intimate world. Come on in. Like I seen a post today. One of my friends was talking about how once we not homies no more, you still don't go out and run your mouth and put people's business in the streets. But fact 100. But what I will say to you is that if you are strategic about who you let into that intimate space, you will never have to worry about that. You will never have to worry about that. Problem is people want to talk too much. We want to, we would rather be surrounded by quantity than quality. And that's a no-no when it comes to your intimate circle. But that compromised vulnerability puts you at risk for that. That's when you start letting people in. And I'm not, this is a no shade, no judgment zone, as Iyanla says. No shade, no judgment. Because I've been there. I've done it. I've made those mistakes and I've had to clean that up. And I also had to own it. Like, yeah, man, that was a wrong decision, Mars. That wasn't a good move, sis. You effed that up. You effed that up. And now you got to deal with the fallout. You got to clean it up. You can't even be mad that somebody did you wrong, because you let them in to that circle. As long as you keep them outside of this circle, that's damage control. There's very little that you can do unless I let you into that intimate circle. There's very little. Yeah, Joy said her circle is small. My circle's so small sometimes I swear. Like they talking about how your phone be dry. Man, mine look like Sun Valley. It's so dry. But I'm okay with that, because I know that when my phone rings, it's someone that I can trust. I know that when my phone rings, if someone on the other end asks me for something, they're asking out of real need and not out of with any sort of malice or attempt to take advantage or any of those things. And I know that those same people that ring my phone, if I call them, they will do whatever they can do to help me through whatever it is I need to be helped through. And that's the difference. But some people like, no, I just need my phone to be going off all the time. Well, go ahead and let your phone go off all the time. So my mouth gonna be going off all the time about everything you was talking about on your phone. Mark my words. That's how it happens. Me and the wall. Joy, you so crazy. So that's just it. Like, but being honest about that level of vulnerability, you don't have to be embarrassed about it. There's nothing wrong with being hyper vulnerable. We all go there sometimes. The important thing is to recognize when you enter into that vulnerability zone, that's not the time to pick new friends. That is not the time to go mingling outside your inner circle, having conversations about your personal business. That's your time to internalize, sit your ass down, get your journal out, write down, where am I in life right now? What is making me feel this way? And this is one thing I always tell my clients. I always say, when it gets real bad, I want you to make note of how that feels. And then I want you to figure out, how did I get here? Because I never want to feel this way again. But in order to ensure that I never have to feel this way again for this reason, I got to know how I got here. So that's why when you're in that vulnerable space, don't go outside your circle. Don't do it. Don't do it. I can tell you how the story ends. Don't do it. And in my case, a few times, because it took me a long time to learn these lessons, right? I'm going to learn the lessons, don't take the class. I took the class over and over and over and over again before I freaking learned the lesson. But here's what happened. I entered into these new relationships and I allowed these outsiders into my inner circle. And then I ended up with long-term problems. So it wasn't as matter of, it was easy to let them in. It's hard as hell to get them out. Hard as hell to get them out. It's like letting a fly in your house. Y'all ever let a fly in your house? That fly will take over and you're obsessed. You become obsessed. Like, I gotta get it. I gotta get it. I gotta kill it. I gotta get it out of my house. Whatever. Same thing with a bug in the car. I gotta get it. I gotta get it out. They're relentless. That's what it's like when you let people in to your inner circle that should have stayed on the outer rim. It's a hell of a hard time to get them out. And then once you do get them out, there's residue that has to still be cleaned up even after they're gone. It's like letting a mosquito in, you get a mosquito bite. Pop! I killed a mosquito, but I still got the residue. I still got bit. And I got to deal with that. It's going to itch for days. And if I scratch it too much, then it gets infected. Then when it gets infected, potentially the infection could spread. And that's what letting people in to your inner circle when you're not honest about your level of vulnerability will do for you. It will become an infection that has to be dealt with. Eventually. And a lot of times people will just try and ignore it, like, whatever. I'm just not going to talk to them again, or I'm not going to, I'm just not going to share information with them again. But you got to be thinking, what did I already share? What do they already know? What did I already compromise of myself? What did I give of myself that I can never get back again? Because I guarantee you there's always something. Always going to be something. Because you were vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, there are people who prey on people's vulnerabilities, especially women's vulnerabilities. And I was talking to a good male friend of mine, and we were talking about that subject matter of how women continue to find themselves picking the same, for lack of a better term, don't inbox me no drama, but for lack of a better term, they keep picking the same losers over and over and over and over again. Again, I got experience. That was me one time. And so we were talking about how does that really happen? And that's how it happens, because they're not honest about where they are in their vulnerability scale. When you look and you say, you know, I just went through something. I just went through a traumatic experience. I went through a breakup. I found out I had a health issue. I had a fallout with a family member. Something going on with my kids. Whatever the case may be. At that point, that becomes the moment where you have to recognize, okay, where's my vulnerability level at right now? Where is it? Let me do a pulse check and figure out, like, where's my, okay, I'm at about a level 6. So that tells me I'm 4 notches down from being full, right? So I'm 4 levels into compromise. That's my time to be playing around with picking new friends and building new relationships. That's not the time to do it. So then let's say you go against that, you don't pay attention to it, you let somebody into the circle. Turns out they're not exactly what they thought they was, what you thought they were. And so your 6 has now become a 3. And you're 3 steps away from bottoming out. And when you bottom out, that's when it's depression. It's the 6 months on the couch with the bonbons. You're in Jenna's shoes at that point. When Tony walked out, Jenna was compromised when she met him. But she was cool, like, okay, I'm compromised. I'm at about a level 7. And I can still smile, and I still feel okay, and I still can put on the pretty face and the high heels and still be cute and all of that. I know I'm a little, but I'm straight. She brought Tony immediately into that inner circle. He did her wrong. Let's call it that. Again, I don't want to hear it, whether he wrong or right, but whatever. By the time he was done, she bottomed out because she was already compromised when she went in. Now, had she been at a full level 10 when she met him and when she allowed him into that space, or even if she had met him at the 7, but then took time before she let him into the circle, she might have dropped down to a 5 or even a 4 when he walked out. Maybe she would have put him out the circle. You never know. But she let him in at a 7, and then she bottomed out. And that's what happens when you aren't honest about where you are with your level of vulnerability. So that's the message for tonight. Heavy topic, I know, but I hope I said something that somebody can use. I hope I said something that made you go, aha. That's just one of my favorite parts in the movie. But anyway, aha. So if you got an aha tonight, then my work here is done. As always, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and thank you so much for joining in and for living life on Mars. Have a great rest of your weekend.